Hello again, everybody, and a huge welcome back to part 81 of Chris Chan, A Comprehensive History. And as we are now approaching the very end of what is canonically referred to as the first season of this documentary series, I still have to ask the question, would you guys be interested whatsoever if I was to say, what if I did like a fan-made part 86? It may not be up to stuff when it comes to Gino Samuel's input, but I feel like there is enough in the docket that we can actually fill up a good 40 to 45 minutes. But with all that being said and done, last time, guys, Chris got basically permanently banned from the Sonic World DX Discord server because Chris was basically taking mods without permission, just respraying them, adding voice lines to them, and just sort of like re-uploading them when you have to ask permission first before you can actually download them. You can't just say, well, because they're my character. Basically, Chris was being an idiot and went back and forth. It's hard to imagine 2 episodes ago we were listening to Chris's insane ramblings about Randy Stare of all people. But now we stare at the finish line, guys, and it is in sight. We're almost home. But until then, we got part 81, so let's go.
Was fascinated. This is the story of Chris Chan.
I like how these intros feel like they're getting shorter somehow, but no, they're not. Part 81. Let's go.
On January 16th, 2021, Sonichu, supposedly stealing Christine's body, discussed with members of the Place Discord server, or Watchmen, his recent chats with a troll calling himself Larry Vaughn, who had convinced him to send fake ciphered messages of lewd content to Twitter users Vaughn claimed were members of the El Anon secret society. Sonichu claimed that his sending of ciphered messages was an act of quote-unquote testing the field with Larry, and that he in fact did not manipulate Sonichu, who needed to send the messages to confirm his, Mewtwo's, and Magichan's suspicions that he was a devious actor. He added that the Sonichu medallion producing merchandising team, Prater, had nothing to do with the El Anon troll, apart from a supposed phone conversation they shared some time prior. On January 18th, Sonichu wrote a long Twitter thread describing Christine's actions since her and Sonichu's body swap some 9 months ago. He wrote that Chris, along with her spouses Magichan and Crizella Rosechu, traveled back to California to attend the My Little Pony convention BabsCon in 2020, in a timeline where the COVID-19 pandemic never took place. However, upon their arrival, on a fated event, Christine was forced by Magichan to enter a paused timeline to exercise her soul and abilities like telekinesis and teleportation. She leveled up to a point that she could move planets with her mind, soul, and aura. Over the many months that had passed in Dimension 1218, Chris only experienced a millisecond and got promoted to the ranks of Emmanuel, Buddha, Jesus, Zeus, and the like. The alleged Sonichu expressed perplexion at himself and Christine's body still remaining in their current dimension, but was confident that a transition between dimensions was coming up. Sonichu closed by alerting the official Twitter account for Hasbro that it was too early to air the current Generation 5 My Little Pony TV series, and that seasons 10 to 14 of the Generation 4 series needed to be televised, as was allegedly commanded by prominent leading characters of the series.
I love the fact that literally all of that, which thankfully Gino did us the favor, just sort of shortened for our sanity more than anything else, and yet, as always, it literally comes down to a racketeering about My Little Pony Gen 5. That's what all of this was about.
On January 20th, Democrat politician Joe Biden was inaugurated as the 46th President of the United States. In commemoration, Sonichu posted a photo of President Donald Trump and Vice President Mike Pence's campaign poster lying discarded on the ground, regarding Trump's defeat as his death in many ways, claiming he was not and would not ever be sorry for stating it as so. Meanwhile, Chris as Sonichu and Larry Vaughn continued to seemingly amicably converse via text message, with Vaughn sharing with Sonichu his experiences with holidaying in Florida and engaging in sexual dalliances with a female anthropomorphic wolf who possessed substantial mammalian protuberances, and posted artwork depicting such a creature. Sonichu later commented that she was a lovely wolf, but he was personally not that invested in large breasts, claiming that Rosechu's C-cup and Christine's D-cup-sized breasts were enough. Behind the scenes, Sonichu was scheming a ploy in revenge of Larry Vaughn's trollsome deeds, as highlighted in messages with the Watchmen. During this time, Chris or Sonichu got the assistance of troll Isabella Loretta Janke, who, under Chris's understanding, trolled Vaughn for intel, and apparently successfully retrieved some of the troll's personal information, such as his full name and phone number. Bella was also the probable source of screenshots of messages Larry had sent to a believed confidant, in which he allegedly revealed that he was the sole troll involved in the El Anon scheme, and was using Chris to troll other people, and further laid out future trollsome plans. Vaughn supposedly unveiled plans to write a ransom letter claiming Magichan was being held hostage and fed nothing but semen, cigarettes, and liquor under the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at the Disney World amusement park in Orlando, Florida. Christine was to, among other things, travel to Disney World. Vaughn would later claim that Bella in actuality had played a part in helping him manipulate Christine, and that they cooperatively composed Magichan's ransom letter. Indeed, one of the text message screenshots appears to show Larry telling Bella to tell Chris to message a certain Twitter account a birthday greeting in Portuguese, wishing for the celebrator's day to be filled with the biggest penises, largest ejaculations, and endless streams of peanut butter-like excrement. Larry also revealed that Bella had been helping Christine contact his Manchester high school gal pals. However, outside of Chris's knowledge, Bella was allegedly telling the gal pals to change their personal information every few years to help prevent Chris from contacting them. Furthermore, Vaughn confirmed that he and Caden of Prater had held discussions after being introduced to each other by Christine, and that Caden seemingly supported Larry's trolling plans, and even opted to paying for the plane ticket to Florida.
That was so insane. I'm gonna have another drink because what on earth? What? Okay, good job, Larry. Considering what's coming up in the next couple of episodes, it's kind of surprising that Larry was so forgotten, like so many others weren't.
On January 22nd, Larry messaged Sonichu to regretfully inform him that his past problematic behavior against minorities and women made members of El Anon uncomfortable, and that they were no longer interested in having Sonichu as a member. Sonichu sarcastically expressed his disappointment before cryptically hinting at his knowledge of Vaughn's true identity. Vaughn then sarcastically threatened to report Sonichu to the cyber police and expressed fear in being reported and risk losing his job. Sonichu then formally cut ties with Vaughn. Later on, Sonichu, using Chris's Twitter account, revealed that it was Larry Vaughn who had made him contact several Twitter accounts with messages concerning excrement consumption. Sonichu claimed that he, Chris, Magichan, and others had foreseen his actions years in advance, but had to do as he told as to not trigger the worst timeline event. Christine as Sonichu then shared the leaked conversation.
So because the worst timeline event, and you think this was any better, Chris?
Between Vaughn and the unknown second party, which revealed his future proposed trolling plans. Sonichu closed by stating, "But aside from Vaughn the a-hole, not Judd this person, but that people who have nothing better to do with their time but to harass Chris and me are pathetic. Chris was just trying to take care of Barbara and living day by day without hurting anyone else, aside from her being destined to become a literal goddess and everything. But hater people like that guy. He has a job at a Virginia vineyard and travels around, has a family who he neglects for his big-breasted wolf waifus and shit. Why was he so interested in trolling us? Dumb neat he was. Again, thank you and have a good and safe day. Lightning Bolt, Yellow Heart." lightning bolt emojis. 2 days later, Sonichu wrote into the play's Discord group that his comments had left Vaughn scared for his livelihood and forced him to stop his trolling ways. He thanked Bella for her help in supposedly trolling Larry for intel, commenting that she was very intelligent. On January 27th, Sonichu notified Chris's Twitter followers that he took part in a so-called Heavy Meditate Hour in which he mind-linked with apparently everyone and showed them around the highlights of the Earth in Dimension C-197, including a visit to Marvel character Doctor Strange and MLP-associated characters Discord, Mary Sue, and Gary Stu. He later wrote that he recently had been enjoying G Fuel brand energy drinks to keep hydrated, in addition to drinking water from a water bottle.
G Fuel, I've never had G Fuel myself, but you know what? You probably should be having at least 1 can per day. Chris, you're already on set for some serious health problems, but that's just going to accelerate your way to losing a foot to diabetes. Maybe both.
Containing crystals. On January 30th, Sonichu noted that during another Heavy Meditate Hour, he and his mind-linked companions were able to analyze the avatar state that Chris's body could at times attain, as seen in the animated series Avatar: The Last Airbender. He added that the first 2 photos that were shared by the first trolls on somethingawful.com depicted a moment in which Christian at the game place was playing a trading card game while in the midst of an avatar state, brought about by his former best friend Megan Schroeder apparently kissing her gay male friend. At the end of January, Larry Vaughn and Christine's Twitter accounts squabbled over Vaughn's short-lived trolling saga, with Vaughn claiming that Chris and Caden, the leader of Praetor, were convinced by his scheme and that both believed he was a rich Jewish person they could milk for moolah, or money in Fijian. Larry also claimed that Chris was planning to hire a private sleuth to investigate the troll. The alleged Sonichu retorted that he knew Vaughn was a ween, or a low-effort troll, but decided to go along with his demands, which were to be later made a spectacle. Larry wrote back with the allegation that it was not Chris writing Sonichu's tweets, but rather Caden, and that neither Praetor nor the Watchmen were in any way effective in their stated goal of protecting Christine from trolls. On February 1st, Joshua Moon, or Null, the administrator of the Kiwi Farms, proposed to create a limited run of custom-made silver coins for sale with Kiwi Farms insignia as a means to help promote and fund the website. After initially planning to have the coins feature the kiwi bird or kiwi fruit, Null settled on producing coins depicting a profile portrait of Chris Chan to commemorate the site's origins. Soon after deciding on the design, Null requested that Christine send—
Yeah, that is true, by the way. Some really interesting trivia is that the Quickie Forms was what it used to be, but then it became known as Kiwi Farms back in 2014, and you may not— that's just a cool little piece of trivia right there, and yeah, it's honestly true, and it is because of Chris, and wow, even as far back as 2006, look at the state of this room, and the thing sitting in the middle of it.
Send him a profile photo of herself for reference. Chrissa Sonichu then sent him a half-profile selfie of himself. Also on the 1st, Sonichu wished on Twitter a happy February, noting that each and every day of the month contained 5 heart emojis of different color, and not just February 2nd, or Groundhog Day, denoted by a beaver emoji, February 14th, or Valentine's Day, denoted by a red heart emoji, or February 24th, or Christine's birthday, denoted by lightning bolt and hedgehog emojis. On February 2nd, Sonichu wrote in the Place Discord server that he had a dream which ended with him almost having sex with the Sonic the Hedgehog character Sally Acorn, a squirrel, and that as a consequence, Chris's body woke up feeling ravenously sexually hungry. Also on that day, Chris asked Sonichu asked the Watchmen if they were aware of the possibility of using piezoelectric crystals and stones to open interdimensional portals. Members of the place told him that piezoelectric crystals could produce sparks, to which Sonichu replied with a link to an article from the website Gaia.com, detailing the allegation that ancient ancestors possessed the ability to access other dimensions in areas rich in quartz and deposits of other piezoelectric materials. After the Watchmen dismissed the article as a load of hooey, Sonichu asked for their guidance in finding a portal that could successfully bring Christine's body into Dimension C-197. The alleged Sonichu then shared with the server a private text conversation with an unknown party, who was attempting to help him with a possible use of a piezoelectric machine in their possession. After elaborating to the unknown party of Chris's powers of importing hundreds of millions of souls into her infinite storage capacity, Sonichu revealed in the conversations that in order to open the interdimensional portal, he would have to use 2 large crystals, which he dubbed a celestial key, and a gate crystal, which he would electrify with a taser. The Watchmen were not convinced by his findings, so Sonichu asked them to find better sources which disproved Sonichu's claims. On February 5th, Sonichu, using Christine's body, contacted leader of the Watchmen, Not, over Discord to let him know that the portal between dimensions 1218 and C-197 would evidently be created with the use of piezoelectric capabilities of quartz and lightning strike quartz, and would use a taser on the so-called gate crystal during his proposed meeting with Praetor founder Caden the following day. Caden had in fact purchased a taser for proposed future videos in mid-November 2020. Not, in an attempt to create more distrust in Praetor, posted a transcript of his messages on the QE forums. On February 8th, Caden, using the official Praetor Discord account, addressed the worries the Watchmen had concerning the use of a taser in the Play's Discord server. Caden claimed that the idea was concocted solely by Chris-chan and without their encouragement. Supposedly Christine confirmed this as fact, much to the disbelief of the Watchmen. Watchman Kyle continually criticized Caden for enabling Christine to go ahead with the plan, who assured the Watchmen that no harm will come to her. Sonichu confirmed this, as Chris's body was half Sonichu, meaning that it was electric resistant. Kyle told Sonichu that he was not an electrical engineer and should further look into all likely consequences. Sonichu replied that he, Chris, Magi-chan, and Mewtwo have looked into all possible outcomes and have duly prepared for the event. After persistent criticism from Kyle, whose concerns were always shot down by Sonichu, Caden began to ridicule him and make light of their conversation. The chat eventually devolved into spewings of random access humor from the supposed Sonichu, who before long departed the discussion. Later that day, Caden returned to the Discord server to further discuss the taser plan with other Watchmen over a voice call.
Really and truly, putting a taser to the crystal was my own idea, and I got it through meditation and seeing into the future.
So where's the ground in that circuit? Just thinking about it from an electrical perspective.
Well, the taser itself is a closed circuit. It's all contained within a little box. You know, it's a handheld zapper. We don't use anything that's, firing, any projectiles. That's just not only...
Yeah, because you keep on erroneously calling it a taser when it's in fact a stun gun.
I don't want to bust chops over semantics here. When I bought it, it said taser on eBay. So we bulk ordered them for the original purpose of sale. There's 10 of them right now. Depending on how sales initially went, we were considering another order of 10 to 20. But, it's all based off what happens in this next coming month, right? Well, I do get why you're concerned about the safety of CWC, especially when it comes to the usage of a little zapper like that, right? But the bottom line is that don't downplay it. Followed.
Yeah, stop.
Don't downplay it. A little.
Yeah, a little zapper. No, you're talking about tasing somebody, and guess what? Do you have any idea how much that for someone with Chris's condition? That is, well, honestly, with everything else that first of all. What about all the other electronics that Chris could be having? What about things that outside of, what this could do to a person's heart when you have so many bolts going through your body? What about if Chris is having anything on that's metallic? Or what about sort of like burn injuries that could leave on your body and stuff like that when you get zapped? It really will be zapping to the extreme.
Zapper. No, it's a fucking self-defense.
Just not the way Chris probably would have imagined it.
Instruments.
Well, if you don't want to downplay
Chris has had heart problems in the past.
Well,
so why wouldn't we worry?
I won't downplay it. These things are brutal. But if you're using them correctly, you have no chance of getting zapped whatsoever. And frankly, we recognize Christine as an adult who can make her own decisions. And the fact that she requested one of...
No, she cannot. I'm going to say it right now because this might seem a little bit of a controversial thing to say. Christine cannot make her own decisions. Are you trying to tell me somebody, well, forget the fact that Chris does this, and are you really trying to tell me this is the person you think is more than capable of making their own decisions when it comes to, should I have somebody zap me on the internet? Are you trying to tell me that's the sort of person who knows what she's doing? I'd say Chris has no idea what she's doing. I'd say she has no idea what she's getting herself into. And, well, you shouldn't get into things, guys, unless you know what you're getting into. I know it's the sort of thing that should go without saying, but because Chris just doesn't give a shit whatsoever, this is why people will continue to steal and take advantage, and even try and talk Chris into this. You know, Chris may say that this was her idea, but what happens if she legitimately changes her mind when it's far too late? What happens if they're all ready to do it and then Chris completely chickens out and says, you know what, I don't think this is a good idea at all? What if they just do it anyway? And then they try and rationalize Chris saying that it was a good thing this happened because we could actually see a portal opening up.
These tasers, we thought that we'd let it happen, and we'll continue to let what she requests happen, unless it's something that's an absolutely out of proportion judgment. But we've never, ever seen anything like that in our personal experience with her. We have full faith in the choices that she's making, and if she feels that this taser will bring about the dimensional merge, then we're more than happy to experiment.
Or at the very least, a portal for me to finally get this body to quick fix.
I really don't think that's going to work like that.
Well, you don't know. You can get sonar by running electricity through just a regular, non-sulfurly powered quartz. That you can get a whole lot more after a heavily programmed, overpowered one.
IMO, you don't need that thing.
You really don't.
You really need to.
I mean, unless you're defending yourself from a predator, I don't think so.
A gun is more effective in self-defense, but that's obviously not what we're talking about here.
No.
All right, but anyway, the results were very good, and Caden here will vouch for that, especially on the before on feeling the gate crystal, and then after sensing the gate crystal and the boosted energy that came out of it.
You got extensive experience tasing yourself, Caden?
Well, you know, I've zapped myself a couple of times. I wouldn't sell something if I didn't know what it felt like, and it doesn't feel good. I'll tell you that.
Maybe you should do it again and videotape it.
Consider
shove it up your ass to see how rough you like it.
Caden is the salesman, but the other members of our group here...
I don't know why Chris is deciding all of a sudden that Chris can absolutely trust Prader as well over this, because honestly... what does Chris see in people like Prader or Larry and stuff like that? Chris must be, like I said before, and I'll continue to say it, beyond the scope of rational thought. Caden,
Owen, Bella, and Annabelle, and Campbell. Anyway, but yeah, we have a couple of genuine psychic types.
There's been lots and lots of people that could have made a buck off Chris. They didn't. Why?
Well, because they weren't smart enough.
Do you really believe that?
Actually, that's a valid statement right there. Especially considering the past.
We recognized the value of partnering with CWC. We recognized the value of her talent and what she brings to the board. Now, I understand the controversy we've raised, but frankly, we don't intend on really moving that much. We're very pleased with where we are, right? Now, if you have grievances, we're happy to hear them, and we love feedback, regardless of how much it hurts us.
Interact with the retards who buy shit. I think it's that simple. That's what I said earlier. If you want to be a businessman or whatever, interact with the people, keep the optics up, and that's pretty much it.
Chris, why do you trust these people?
Because they have proven themselves in person with their kindness.
Because they bought you things.
Because they bought you things. Also, Chris, have you? So you mean you meant to say you met up with somebody once, and that was more than enough to convince you, Chris? Is that what you're trying to tell us? That's all it takes for people to trust you?
No, that's
the reason, though, isn't it?
That not initially. Not initially. They proved that to us without buying us anything. Okay, not initially. That is the truth. Eventually, yes, that did come to be, but they have proven themselves very much.
So you're going to choose them over us. Is that how this is going to go?
Let me just say, our goal is not to take anything. Our goal is not to be, just screwing with Christine. Our goal here is just to make cash with her as a partnership, right? Now,
then why don't you pay her more?
We do.
An income split is kind of
They
fucked.
paid me $400.
Yeah, it really is.
About a few weeks ago, they paid me $400.
We're
Out
doing
of the 6,000 they made.
So like, where the fuck does this whole Vaughn and Miss whatever her name is, where does this come into
that
it?
was a whole totally different thing.
The Vaughn person is an entirely different
Yeah.
person. We have no clue who this idiot is.
His name is Daniel. He lives. Majority lives in Virginia. He works at Martha's Vineyard. He trucks around sometimes. He's lived in Vegas. His number was from Vegas, and so forth. And after we confirmed all that information that we had foreseen,
Confirmed with who? Confirmed with who? Confirmed with who? Say confirmed the information with who?
One second. Hang on. Right. Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. So, a few days have actually gone past now, ever since that pretty scary health scare involving my old man. But because we were already halfway home when it came to part 81, we are just going to resume it, and, so really this is almost going to be like the very first time since I've done this, we're actually doing a part 2 to a single episode of Chris Chan. So, whilst we retake our seats and whilst we completely recuperate after the madness over the last few days, well, let's take a look at the story so far. Chris, still under some sort of guidance by, I think it's either Prater or WCT, they try to encourage Chris to basically be used as a test dummy involving a stun gun. And now Bella and MKR Night V and a whole bunch of other Weens and White Knights and other members of the Watchmen are now getting involved, honestly trying to ask Chris, why on earth does Chris trust these people so much? What do they have to give? Because from as far as we're concerned, they don't really, when they don't have anything, of like commercial value or anything like that to help out Chris. And it would seem as if the only thing Chris really seems to be more interested in is believing them more than believing his own common sense. But as I'm sure you already know, Chris will literally leave everything at the door if it means that she can be proved right about things that she fundamentally knows are wrong. Because, reality sucks and all that. But unfortunately, Chris, you had your chance to make things right, and, well, that's kind of how we got to this point. Because if it was working, Chris, then why are you not doing better? Now let's resume.
Outside this group about that. She told us, and that allowed us to confirm it with Mewtwo, with Magichan, and with Christine here, still in my body. This is still Sonichu Prime. C1957 talking here. 10 months in this body!
You're a total fucking faggot, Caden.
Now I'm just ruined.
No, and you will be, and I guarantee you by the end of the night, I'm going to be speaking to your mother and telling you how terrible her son is.
Honestly, if you end up getting me a paddling from mommy, I'm going to be so upset.
I hope you should be.
Honestly, I started out trying to be really nice, but you just kept getting more and more suspicious and creepy and mean. And
why do we have to have all this sarcasm and negativity talking shit?
All right.
But it's fun. Like,
Because I'll tell you why, Chris, they're doing it. Because do you remember a certain little troll called Blue Spike? And how everybody told you, Chris, back in the day, Clyde Cash, Marvin, they all told you Blue Spike was a troll and that Julie wasn't real. And you went along with it anyway. And that's how you ended up in Cleveland, Ohio. And that's what led to your family calling the police and threatening to change the locks because you went out of city limits. And what happened once you got back? And then you made a big thing about the fact that your 27th birthday was on the same day as your Aunt Karina's funeral. Remember all that, Chris? Well, I hope you do, because honestly, evidence would suggest after 12 years you probably should have learned a thing or two by then.
it's a lot. Like, it's a laugh and it's fun. Like, it's people fucking with people for laughs, yeah?
Every time Mr. C picked an argument with Chris, she failed at arguing back.
While the full recording of the Discord call remained unpublished, an edited 1-minute segment was shared by Knott on February 8th on the Kiwi Farms, with the intention of implicating Prater as wanting Christine to get tased.
What are you going to do the testing video you promised?
The testing video?
Can CWC like tase himself on video for lols?
Well, we're going to leave... What?
I'd volunteer.
What? What?
I'd say you in serious and in joke, I would.
Look,
Chris, you know what? By this point, to say that we know what's coming next, well, in a few videos time, to be honest, we shouldn't be surprised. In fact, I would say if the last 80 parts was anything to go by, we shouldn't be shocked at this. And yet here we are anyway.
Look,
Are you sure?
Like, we had a whole discussion about why
It's a bad
idea. We'll talk about this later, okay? I've really got to go before we make any rash decisions that involve CWC being zapped.
Obviously. But I mean, this body is part of electricity, literally. So I could take it.
Since Knott only mentioned Caden and Chris as members of the conversation and implied that the taser was to be used on an individual, this led to forum members into theorizing that it was members of Prater that were considering Christine tasing herself as a possibility, causing increased hostility toward the merchandising group. Knott then also shared Caden's personal information with the farms. Not long after, Quick-centric YouTuber Gibby discussed the leaked conversation in a video, further propagating the falsehood that the person suggesting Chris should be tased was a member of Prater. Christine left a comment on the video, defending Prater and confessing that the idea of using the taser on the gate crystal and testing it on her own body was her original idea after having a vision and discussing it with the Cosmos. Ultimately, nothing resulted of the proposed tasing of quartz crystals to open up an interdimensional portal. Around February 9th, Kwai Sandbag, a viewer of the YouTube series Christian: A Comprehensive History created by Gino Samuel 2.1, decided to reach out to Christine via direct messaging over the social media platform Instagram, masquerading as a psychic. The next day, Chris as Sonichu agreed to talk with Kwai Sandbag over Discord.
Hi, it's nice to finally hear you.
It's nice to hear you too. So, yeah. How you doing, Cable?
Caleb.
Caleb, bring me somewhere else.
No, don't worry about it. People mess it up all the time. So, how can I help you?
Well, we're trying to figure out answers to many questions. Like, this body has a great amount of superpowers and overpowers, and I've been meditating on everything. And it's been meaning this body is destined to go literally, physically, fully, safely, healthily into our sister dimension, which has all the OCs and FCs, original characters, fictional characters, including those like Sonic the Hedgehog, Superman, Donald Duck, Iron Man, so on and so forth.
Yes. So I think what would be very beneficial is if we did a meditation session together.
Okay.
So I want you to turn off the lights
Turn off the lights?
Yes, because we need to hone in on the spiritual energy.
All right, well, I'll turn off the lamp, no problem. A moment.
If you have a scented candle, now would be a really good time to light it.
Well, I don't have a scented candle.
It's okay, we can manage without it. So, what I really want you to focus on is channeling your inner strengths.
Right.
So, I can sense just by talking to you, you're a very, very powerful psychic. And
yep.
I'm very curious because I've never really met anybody who has similar abilities to me. What can you read anything off of me right now?
Well, first off, I can definitely confirm it. You sound like you're in your late teens or early 20s.
That is correct.
And you sound very curious and intrigued with the answers that you have found in what you had foreseen recently within your recent visions, and that what you will get from us, from what we're talking about and what we meditate on and discuss tonight.
So I am going to kind of hone in on your physical being and try and contact your... Is there any way, like, without meditating, I could talk to Chris?
Well, you're pretty much astral projecting into the neighboring universe. It's not into the spiritual plane, but it would be, but it's tough to explain.
I'm currently sitting on my yoga mat, which is really good for meditation. Are you sitting somewhere comfortable?
Yeah, I'm sitting on the bed in the downstairs bedroom, and I have my lovely wife Rosie Roach next to me, and then Chris in my body is sitting on the bed as well on one corner.
Ah, okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I am going to project myself into Virginia, into Ruckersville.
Okay, you want to specify on... There's a gazebo in the backyard that we believe is a dimensional vortex that we're still working on developing. But this essentially...
You could work by pruning some of those branches, Chris. That would be a good start.
This house is a temple.
Yes. I see. I can see it now. I can see there's cars out front. I can see your mother is in the house.
Chris's mother is in the house.
Right, Chris's mother. Is she well?
Yeah, she's in her late 70s, but she's healthy, alive, and well.
Well, that's phenomenal. It's always great to hear about people doing well. Can you see me? Can you see my spirit?
I definitely sense you. I believe you are in the room with us. You're at the foot of the bed.
Yes, that's where I am.
Yep.
Okay, now let's begin. Breathe in very deeply and breathe out. I'm starting to see a picture. I can see Christine. She has a job. She has income. She can spend it on whatever she wants. I see a world without disease, and I see counseling of some sort. I can see pets. Do you have pets?
2 dogs and a bunch of cats. 3 of them inside presently. But in any case, you are mostly right, although Christine's profession is that she's literally a goddess. She is the CPU of the Commodore consoles and the nation of Quickville, with the city of the same name within that, and that's all within the state of Virginia.
Yes. I see. I've never heard of this place before, but it might mean something to you. Fashion Square?
Yeah, that's a shopping mall in Charlottesville.
And the name Michael.
Michael Snyder, yep.
Do you sense the trouble that I'm feeling?
Sense something. Discerning wave in the air, I think.
Yes. I sense wasted potential. I don't know what the vision is referring to, but I feel that there is something that we're missing.
You say wasted potential. Yeah, I would definitely agree partially to that because it's pretty much stuck here within this universe, which is pretty much limited on magic. And by the way, this universe is called 1218. This is universe 1218 that we live in.
This is troubling indeed. I sense a great divide, or a merge.
Yes, a dimension merge. Because you see, previously, before King Arthur decreed that they want all magic removed from the universe, the C197 and 1218 were the same universe, but then Merlin and 2 other magicians.
I know, guys. I know. Chris is just making this up as he goes along. Maybe where did this happen, by the way? Because was this something that was found in the castle of? He probably died while carving it.
Were ordered to separate the two, and this is the recombining of those two universes. So the magic and everything would come back, and it'd be one universe again. I learned about this recently in bunches of meditation and looking into Chris's past life.
And what was Chris's past life?
Well, long story short, back shortly after the Big Bang, she was a resident on the planet Kiasuna within the Andromeda system. She was a princess, and she was exiled, got transferred from over there to Earth, and while it was still the same universe, she ended up having powers that were well above anybody else that were in the norm at the time. And this was shortly after the meteor hit and made the dinosaurs extinct. And she was essentially immortal. So she ended up also making friends with the deities along the way. And eventually she met Merlin during medieval times. And then eventually Chris changed the composition of her body, put herself in a crystal, and shot herself from way that year, and went throughout various far reaches of space, times, and universes, and ended up also flying herself through our chaotic rainbow of C197 in 2003, thus giving her Sonichu form and electrical resistance and better abilities on that, and then eventually going back in time to 1218 and then being born in 1982. Her birthday's on February 24th.
Now, again, Chris, did you sleep with your mother? Yes or no? Yes. I know that's the second time I've had to bring that out, but imagine Chris having to have a discussion with the arresting officer and, well, or at least when Chris was probably being interviewed and they went through all this and the officer just straight up asked, because I'm pretty sure that must have been how it went. At least when Chris knew he was being watched, I suppose.
Well, happy early birthday.
Thanks.
So, what I see is Chris coming to take her body back. And I see her making amends with people that she has either wronged or has been wronged by, sort of turning the other cheek.
That's about right.
So I would say I wouldn't get too comfortable in this physical body, Sonichu. I would say...
Yeah, I know. I've been in it for over 10 months now, so I figured, I probably want to get back to my body.
Do you think it might happen on your birthday?
Around there, I'm fairly certain, if not sooner. I've also looked into this application called Faladin. I looked at the tarot cards and clairvoyance and horoscopes part of that to get another perspective. They predict that, if not in February, it could happen in March, or at least something of a further development will happen in March.
So I think this is a very good place to put a pin in that. Would you like to meet again next week, same time?
Sure, yes.
Brilliant. So, and with that, I will take my leave.
All right, well, so I'd say my impressions of you are pretty good so far, and I'm glad to find somebody who could actually help me further understand the powers and abilities, at least for a beginning perspective that we can further explore.
Of course, I'm happy to help. I wish you a very good evening and a healthy week.
You too. Be safe and well.
Thank you.
All right, good night.
Good night. You can unmute.
On February 13th, Sonichu, through Chris's body, expressed his disappointment in the Watchmen for their play-bullying tactics against Prater, believing that they were not on the same page as Christine or himself, and were not taking the merge seriously. Watchman Kyle, or Nova, further tried to delegitimize Caden, questioning the legality and financial soundness of his corporation, while Maker Night-V apologized for her previous antagonism, promising not to share any more out-of-context Discord posts concerning them, but told Sonichu to be wary. On February 14th, the supposed Sonichu wrote a tweet wishing Chris's followers a happy Valentine's Day, and notified YouTuber PewDiePie that he was drinking a can of Lincolnberry flavor energy drink G Fuel, which featured PewDiePie as part of the drink's branding. Sonichu implied that at 1:55 p.m. Eastern Time, he drank the drink, an event which may have been simultaneously felt by the YouTuber.
And is it me, or just like Chris? You could have told me Chris was like either losing weight or looked as if Chris, if there was a word to describe Chris's face right here, I think the word agonized would be the operative word.
Also on that day, Sonichu and Kwai Sandbag held another psychic chat.
Now, what is it exactly we're trying to see?
Well, obviously, these hands are able to do a whole number of things. They can actually help heal others.
How so?
Like I put my hand on somebody, on the shoulder of somebody who's feeling pain, and I can take the pain, that they're not feeling it, but then this body feels a mild amount of that pain. I can also manifest objects with these hands, at least on the C-197 side of the Iron Curtain, including that, but not limited to, like, just your typical fruits and apples and whatever else we need. Also, I can manifest universe and dimensional portals.
So, we're trying to get in touch with the other dimensions. Is that what I'm hearing?
Among which?
Obviously, we are not face-to-face, but let me astral project over to where your physical being is so we can be spiritually in the same place.
Right. Rosie's here with me, but Chris is not. She's with Magic Chan and Crizel and Savannah at the time. They've been spending Valentine's Day together.
That's nice.
We're phasing in.
Already?
Yeah.
I'm sitting exactly where I sat last time at the foot of the bed.
Yo, I see you.
Now, I'm reaching out towards you. Do you accept?
Yeah. I just grabbed your hand.
Great. Now, this may not work on the first try, but I'm trying to transfer some of my metaphysical energy into you to help you grow stronger, because I can always manifest a little bit more. So let me try and send over some positive energy and help you conjure physical beings from another dimension in this dimension.
I feel it.
You do?
Yeah, I mean, I got my left hand open, hoping to manifest an apple from C-197 to here.
Oh, Chris, this is not medicine.
Why don't we try something a little smaller than an apple at first?
Oh. What, like a ping pong ball or a candy bar?
Sure.
All right, I'm going to go for a ping pong ball.
Let me know if you can conjure it.
See, when I saw inside, I could definitely see it in the hand. Though I think I might be accidentally manifesting a golf ball instead of a ping pong ball because it feels heavier and I feel the dimples.
But you can feel it in your hand.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it. Like I said, though, it's on the C-197 side, but it's gotta be tangible here in this universe. But yeah, I'm holding out the left hand. I'm holding out the left hand. Are you seeing the golf ball in it?
I'm starting to see the outline. Can you see the outline?
Yeah.
And you can feel it?
Yes.
Good.
Still, only mainly tangible on the C-197 side. Not here in this universe.
So I've been speaking to a community of psychics that I'm close with, and we are trying to find a time that would work where we could all help you.
Oh, yes.
We feel that a large group meditation where we all try and channel our spiritual power can be very, very, very beneficial.
I hear that. A lot of things this body does involuntarily, like, 24/7, 365 plus 19 is constantly in meditate.
Yes. So, I'm also sensing tension right now.
Yes.
I sense the spirit of another in the room.
Oh, Rosie's in here with me.
No, someone who has passed on. Someone close to you. He has gray hair. It might be your father.
Well, Mr. C's not here right now. You might be talking about Merlin the magician, because he and Chris had a thing going on back in the medieval days, and we literally have his soul in this body with the 568.6 million other souls and entities that are stored within the conduit portion of this body. If you're sensing another soul, a cat just entered.
Oh, yeah. Now, I did a little bit of research about you because I wanted to be more acquainted with, like, personal details, and I stumbled across a quite lengthy documentary on YouTube.
Probably Genius Senio's documentary, so he just made episode 51.
Have you watched all of it?
Yeah, Chris and I are caught up with the series.
Do you like it?
For the most part, just not counting the NSFW parts and the totally personal parts. But then again, of course, that Christine is the only one to blame for actually putting all that out there about herself.
Yes.
That's a whole different kettle of fish from a long time ago in the universe, right here.
That was only as far back as 2016, so it wasn't that long ago, Chris. It was like less than 5 years.
I made a little joke.
Yes, well, I also took a second to browse the quickie, and they think you, Christine, are, or I guess you, Sonichu, are really just Christine, suffering from imposter syndrome.
No, we literally did swap bodies, and this happened on March 31st. I mean, the only way you could have really verified this for yourselves is if you had been there and you could just... I mean, it literally happened. My soul left my body, and her soul left her body, and we were right next to each other in the bed, and we just entered the other body, literally.
But I thought Sonichu was in the C197 dimension.
I was before the body swap last March.
Well, then how would you be in the bed next to each other?
It's not being near yet so far. I mean... I look forward to talking with everybody else in the psychic group, and hopefully we'll get something going on soon enough.
Okay. I would probably just make like a direct message group chat.
Cool. Well, I guess I'll let you go then. Thanks for your help.
Of course. Have a great night, and I will talk to you later.
You too. Take care. Good night.
Good night.
No matter if their true intentions were for better or worse, Christine would prove time and time again that she would only listen to those who encouraged her beliefs of an idyllic universe, which could right all her wrongs and change her life for the better.
Well, we know that's not going to happen anytime soon because, well... Because as you guys heard from literally how that ended, the only thing Chris seems legitimately to be concerned about, like, whatsoever, is the thought that, well, even towards the... Chris was already getting, like, you could tell Chris was becoming frustrated by how that was starting to go. And honestly, to say that I think that, well, does Chris return next time? I really don't know. But what I do know is that, well, Chris, you're not really I mean, if nobody was falling for it before, nobody is falling for it now. And, well, I would say those are the only people who you will give time for, Chris. The people who will actually play into your delusions. But I think we've come about full circle there. So, yeah, I know this was a very weird way to have done this, guys. I'm not gonna lie, and hopefully it will be the last time I'll ever have to do one of these videos split by several days for this to work. I do apologize for the way things have gone. You can't really predict any of these things, but that, as they say, is that. So, I hope all of you guys enjoyed part 81, and I cannot wait to see all of you guys again in the next video. So take care, and bye-bye for now.